This is a video that a lot of y'all have told me to watch by our dear friend Lucy Pyre. It is called The Tragic and Totally Preventable Decline of XIV, and I have been informed by Buns that I got a shout out in this video, and I can see that my video was actually linked in the pinned comment as well. So this is something that obviously I'm interested in, and I want to take a look at. Okay. This is a 40-minute video, so buckle in. We are going to be here for a little while. Okay, let me know if the audio sounds okay.
Hold on, you sick
Bun boy. Is the audio levels alright for y'all? There's an echo. Okay. That's why we do this first. Okay, there we go.
Hold on.
How about that? I fixed the echo. Is the volume fine? Okay. Alrighty. Let's dive in to this video.
Hold on, you
Bunny
sick
boy.
freak. Did you click on this video expecting to see criticism of God's most perfect game, Final Fantasy XIV? How dare you even imply it has problems that could use fixing? 14 has the best gameplay, the best job design, the greatest community, by the way, that your eyes have ever seen. And because my sense of self is inextricably tied to this game, I consider any criticism about it a criticism of me. So I'm going to be very upset if you have something negative to say, mister. Or at least, that's how it used to be. Back in the day, you couldn't say anything about Final Fantasy XIV without the game dev writing army breathing down your neck. But these
Oh no,
days,
they're still there. Oh no, those people didn't go away. They're very much still around. It's just that different people with different opinions have started to go out the door.
I see videos criticizing 14 everywhere I look. They're practically the only 14 videos coming out these days. And by making this one, I feel like I'm jumping on a bandwagon of sorts. Please, look at my credentials. I swear I'm not a trend Andy. I have a long and fleshed out history of lovingly shitting on this game. That is, until one day, I stopped. I quit making videos about 14. I didn't talk about it on stream anymore. If somebody asked me when I'd play it, I'd laugh nervously while chat spammed clueless. I developed a script of sorts. Whenever people would ask me why I stopped playing, I told them that I burnt out. I told them that turning it into my job made playing it feel like work and that I just needed some time apart. But after literal years have passed, I realized that I was wrong. It's not that I was burnt out on 14. It's not that making videos about it ruined my passion for it. Those videos were made because I had passion in the first place. It turns out I lied. I didn't stop because I made it my job. I stopped because 14 has done nothing worth being passionate for.
Dude. Man. That actually hit me really hard. Like, sometimes I think that, like, I said it all the time. I'll be like, oh, well, you know, I've already been through the stages of grief with FF14, and like, I moved on, and it's fine. Like, whatever. I can talk about it objectively now. But, goddamn. I cared about this game so much. I really, really did. Man, and it showed. That's like, look at my fucking channel. Look at my YouTube channel. All of my videos, like for 8 years, I made countless videos where all, like, you could almost say that my signature style was this enthusiasm, just joy that I had about the game. Just absolutely boundless joy and excitement to play. And, this is so relatable. We're not even 2 minutes into this video, and this has already hit me like a truck. Because I too remember, you know, you come up with a script when people ask you, aren't you playing? I went through that era where people were asking, why aren't you playing FF? And I think I also came up with a little script that's like, oh, well, you know, I just a little burnout and I just rated too much and I just needed time away. But I got burnt out of rating before in Stormblood, and it didn't stop me from playing. It didn't stop me from, like, making content. I was still, like, just things are different now. I feel, in a lot of ways, I feel just devastated that I feel like the game won't ever be what it was for me before. And at the same time, like, not to make this really needlessly personal, but at the same time that I felt like that shift happened, I also lost everything in my real life too. And the last few years have been really, really hard because I no longer felt like I even had the same FF14. Okay, let me shut up. That just... It's been heartbreaking. It has been heartbreaking to feel like I had to move on. And I didn't want to. But ultimately, like, what did I say when I even started the stream today? I'm like, well, you know, there's always going to be a soft spot in my heart for Final Fantasy XIV. I'm always going to be rooting for its success. And I'm looking forward to the live letter on Friday. And I'll always be a cheerleader for this game. I'll always hope for a better future. While at the same time, I'm like, I've kind of had to reorganize my life as a content creator and a player with the assumption that things won't change.
So, let's talk about that. And our conversation is gonna take a hot second, which means that at some point
that just hit me really
have an
hard.
opinion you disagree with. Feel free to run to the comments and write essays about how wrong I am because my autism enables me to enjoy reading unhinged manifestos about Final Fantasy XIV. Just keep in mind that despite popular opinion, I don't want the game to die. I want to see it rise out of this slump and go back to being the joy to play that it once was. Other than that, there will be very minor and vague spoilers for the story, so if you're a huge stickler for that,
so I'm
head
saying
out, or don't. I like when people cry about spoilers they were already warned about. It gets me all hot and bothered. Oh yeah? You didn't know that they fight dragons in Heavensward? Keep going, I'm almost there. Anyway, no more preamble, roll the damn clip. If I'm gonna talk about the problems with this game, I have to start with the game direction. 14 is not a difficult game and never really has been, which means I'm saying a lot when I tell you that the game has been gradually dumbing down, simplifying, and streamlining gameplay so that the player virtually never experiences failure. Let me put this in Joseph Anderson terms. If Elden Ring had a problem with making things too difficult to keep their reputation of try-hard gameplay alive, then 14 has the opposite problem. 14 wants to make things piss easy so that even a paraplegic chicken with Alzheimer's can keep up. Trust me, I've broken into Square Enix headquarters and I've seen the chicken. It's crazy shit.
I think it's an important point that what I feel like they're trying to avoid is having the player experience failure. I really feel like you hit the nail on the head with that take, because it's like, do they not trust that the player can experience failure and learn from that? Are they just terrified that the player will feel like they had a bad time and there's no way forward from that? Like, why are you so afraid of putting obstacles in the player's path? This is something that Yoshi P even kind of addressed a little bit before Dawn Trail. And whenever he said that they had been listening too much to people complaining, and he said they need to introduce more stress into the game. Do you remember him saying those things? And mostly he was talking about the battle content. But, like, they never want you to hit a roadblock or feel bad. Or, like, any kind of failure of any kind. And, anyway.
This stretches into every part of the base game, including dungeons, raids, hell. Even old content isn't safe. They've been sent to Yoshi P's veterinarian practice to be declawed, defanged, and of course, utterly fucking neutered. Let me give you an example. One fateful day while playing 14, I got cued into Titan Normal. A very nostalgic primal, great music, overused chicken nugget memes, but I can forgive him for the sins of Larry Zor. Now imagine my surprise when the new player fell off the edge, and 3 seconds later, I was able to res them. Right! I forgot having unique mechanics in fights might be too difficult for new players. So glad that's gone. And then I got the Airy as my dungeon. And in the fight against Nidhogg, I realized there's no more Stinian there. I guess the devs thought casting Cure once or twice on him was too hard for the healers to handle.
I didn't know that. They got rid of Estinian in the air.
Never mind how that fucks with the lore or emotional impact. Just get rid of any failure point. It's too risky. What's really ironic...
Wasn't it so that they could program it for the AI to be able to run the dungeon? Like, this is a common theory that, oh, well, the reason why they've got rid of all these unique mechanics that could lead to a fail is because they need the AI to be able to successfully do it every time. But then again, okay, well, if you need to make a version of the dungeon that the AI can easily complete, that's the follower dungeon. That's the trust dungeon. So then doesn't that mean that you could have the normal mechanics in the version that players do with each other? So then the player even has an option between, oh, well, I don't really want any failure, so I'll go with the AI. It's going to take longer. Or I want to experience some unique things, and I'll choose to go with players. Because other players, I assume, would be able to be doing more than AI bots. But bots are more capable than the trust AI and have been for decades. That's no excuse. Yeah, that's kind of a shit excuse as well. It's assuming that they can't program the AI to handle it. I mean, yeah. Okay. I don't know.
And funny about this is that they've tried to backtrack recently. Don't get too excited though, it's the bare minimum. They made the new level 90 to 100 dungeons a bit harder than they were before. Stress on a bit, not hard enough that you can't figure it out in the first run and then never have to think about it again, but still, that's progress, right? Well, in my opinion, it's too little and way too late. Now the case for why is hard to crack, but after decades of research, I think I know the answer. After snorting my 10% off with code Lucy Gamer Subs powder, I astral projected myself straight to Japan to play 5D chess against Yoshi P himself. My 1 million IQ mind translating his Japanese to perfect English before the words even left his mouth. And after 10 hours of pure strategy, I placed him in checkmate and was bestowed with the information, the secret agenda of... It was for money. It really is that simple. Game easy. More people play games. If more gamers play, then more is money. Shareholder,
Oh my god.
happy. Yay. It feels like these game
Oh
devs
my
are
god.
truly
That's hysterical.
terrified of losing your sub. And that means they're scared of anything that might drive off a new player. Anything.
Yeah, but not taking risks is a risk. That's the biggest risk that they take.
That might take away that hit of dopamine that keeps you playing in the first place. They never want you to experience a negative emotion while playing their game. So what do? They take out challenge. They ask, less of you. They give everyone the tools to survive, so that if the healer is a literal toddler banging on the keyboard, you can still finish the duty without kicking them out. Why do you think Tenchi Jin was changed? Why is Black Mage getting more and more instant casts? Why did they decide pressing Kaiten before Midare was too difficult? Why else would they refuse to nerf Picto despite how unhealthy its numbers turned out to be for the endgame? If a job requires skill, it might drive the shitters away, and Square Enix can't have that.
Oh my god. Lucy, you can't just say that. What the fuck? This is too honest. Is this even allowed? Is this legal?
But their idea of making things easy to keep players
This is
is
horrible.
flawed. And to my shock, Yoshi P agrees with me. There's this nice little quote from him recently where he talked about how if a side-scrolling game doesn't have holes to fall into, then there's no fun in playing it.
Oh, you found you got the receipts. Right. This is what I mentioned a few minutes ago about how he needed to introduce stress. Reflecting on FanFest, he said, as we've continued to operate 14, something I regret is we've made the game more comfortable, a game you can play without stress. But I think we overdid it. A video game should have an element of stress, but to handle that properly is extremely difficult. For example, in a side-scrolling game, if there aren't any holes you can drop down into if you miss a jump, of course the game would lose its stress, but it'll also lose its fun. Speaking of FF14, I'd like to restore that part a little bit. Well, how's that been working out so far? Has that happened?
Where he talked about how if a side-scrolling game doesn't have holes to fall into, then there's no fun in playing it. I tell you, viewer, I cried tears of joy. Finally Yoshi understands. He's gonna do it, guys. He's gonna fix the game. And when I played the new dungeons, I felt that he was starting to fix that part of the game. The new normal trials were challenging in a fun way. I'll give them credit where it's due. They have tried to increase the difficulty for this expansion.
Trials. I loved Valagarmonda. It was really fun. I didn't really like Zeralda fight. I like the Fiend fight, though I felt like it was missing some cool elements from the normal mode that they for some reason didn't put in extreme. But it was a little easy, a little on
Even
the
if
easy
it's
side.
slight. And it's a great change, and I appreciated it, but with the state that job design is in, I'm not really sure it matters. You'll hear other people say that jobs have become more and more homogenized over time, and I'm not gonna disagree with them. It's bad for tanks, it's real bad for healers, and to hear you DPS mains tell it, it's not going too good on your side of town either. And maybe this is a controversial take, but here's the way that I see it. If I can level each healer, one after the other, and I barely have to change my approach to gameplay, I think there's a problem. Even if the encounters are marginally more difficult, the devs forgot that the core gameplay of a job is what creates someone who mains it and keeps playing the damn game. And the thing is, they used to understand that. Scholar was a busy mess in Stormblood, but it was my favorite iteration of the job to date. Astrologian was an RNG-dependent job, but making the best of a bad card pull was part of the class fantasy.
Yeah. Astrologian, Stormblood Astrologian is my Roman Empire. I think I mention it every single time that I have Final Fantasy stream. Every time. I'm like, hey, remember Stormblood Astrologian? Remember? Dark Knight is so different than it was when I mained it in Heavensward.
Dark Knight's dark arts required some thought.
Not just dark arts, but also mana management. You had to manage your mana back then. If you didn't have mana, you won't tank. You will not be able to tank. You could actually be in a situation where, because you didn't prepare yourself and your resources, you just won't be able to tank the boss. You are screwed. You could actually be caught with your pants down and be completely ineffective. This is not a situation that I think happens anymore with tanks.
Thought if it wasn't fun for the people who enjoyed actually managing their mana.
Oh, hey, you did mention that.
By bit, they've been stripping
paused
off
it too
things that
soon.
make jobs different, and Summoner in particular got a complete
Summoner?
rework. Nowadays, if you like Drought, you can play Bard, I guess? Yes, I am well aware that this is God's most unpopular opinion. But seriously, why did they do old Summoner dirty like that? I'm saying this as someone who never mained the job, because I don't have to. I'd be pissed if it happened to my main, and with Healer it kinda did happen to my main, so I'm sorry. But I do think it was a middle finger to that player base, and the bare minimum they could have done was make a dot job that would replace it. But
I remember I was on such cope when after the change to Summoner. I was on the biggest cope out of anybody. I defended this change so much because I did play Summoner, and I had just finished practicing the old Summoner rotation for like a whole freaking month before they changed it completely and just threw it all in the garbage. So I knew how to play old Summoner. I loved it. And then whenever the change happened, and they made it completely different, just match the colors job. I remember saying all the time on stream, because at the time, like, it was Shadowbringers era, wasn't it? I think so. It was Shadowbringers. I need the allergy pill. Was it Endwalker? I need to go get the allergy pill right now, because I got serious... I'm sniffling. Yeah, okay. It was Endwalker. It was Endwalker because I was there. I tested it at the Endwalker media tour, and I wasn't in the Shadowbringers media. Yeah, that's right. Endwalker media tour was when I first experienced the new version of Summoner. I remember, and I remember first thinking, "Wow, is that it?" Whenever I first tested it on the training dummy, and I'm like, "Wow, this seems really easy," but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not good at putting job rotations together, so maybe there's more to it, and I just don't know. I'm sure later we'll see that there's more to it, and there wasn't more to it, but I defended it for a long time. I remember saying, because I think part of this might have been because I loved Endwalker-based stories so much, and when you love the story and like you're feeling good about the game, and it makes you look past things and make excuses for things more. I remember saying, oh, well, it's okay that they dumbed down Summoner so much and that the old Summoner I loved is gone and that we have a new Summoner. Because even though it's really bare bones, it's okay because it's a foundation that they'll build on later. Okay, so that's why they had to get rid of how it was, because it's gonna be really awesome. So you guys gotta be patient, okay? They're just making it a good foundation to build on. Okay? So cut them a little slack. That's what I used to fucking say.
Past Summoner mains got screwed, and there's no sign that they'll ever be unscrewed. They are permanently being by the massive dick of the job designers. And yeah, I know the player numbers were low. I know many people were dissatisfied that it didn't live up to the summoning lore. I know the dot playstyle was an acquired taste. But what's the solution to that to completely nuke a playstyle out of the game and leave those fans with no replacement? It's sad because...
You know what sucks about that? Because what was so cool about the old Summoner playstyle was that it took forever. It was like minutes long. And I remember feeling like each part, each phase really felt like you are preparing to summon a big freaking demon, like a gigantic monster from the other world. And this is a process that takes patience. It almost felt like progressing a raid fight, going through your summoner rotation, because there's like different phases. There's like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and it just gets crazier and crazier the more you go through it. And that's how it should feel to summon a big freaking dragon, right? But now you just press a button. You don't even have to do anything to prepare for it.
You know, they could have done things
like a ritual.
For example, maybe a little less funding into the scam known as Blue Mage, and a little more into creating another Arcanist spinoff. No? We're gonna keep making limited jobs? Okay, I guess I'll go kill myself. But time and time again, the devs have shown that they will choose the path of least resistance. And what they replaced Summoner with was by far the easiest job to play in the entire game. Sure, having a couple jobs that are brain dead isn't a bad idea, but you went and replaced one of the sweatiest dot-time optimizing spreadsheet maxing player population.
This is actually, if you don't know what this is, I do. I actually recognize this spreadsheet 'cause I was there. At the top, you might notice it says 5.0 Summoner Rotation Sheet. Yeah, so if you wanted to know how to play Summoner, you needed to. This is what you would get linked by other people. Here's a spreadsheet. And you know that I did look at this spreadsheet.
With that, but even this is nothing in the
It was a little
face of
scary.
the greatest consequence to making everything easier to play. And if you're a healer main, you already guessed it, the total death of the Trinity system. And no, I'm not talking about the religious one. Let's think about the general premise.
Oh, you feel like there could have been a middle ground? Maybe by listening to the existing Summoner player base for different things that they wanted that might have made it, you know, a little clearer, a little less jank, and just better and more fun. Like, yeah, that might have been the thing. Square Enix does not understand what middle ground is. They don't. They know a little effort or like a gargantuan effort.
Of the Trinity. You have tanks, healers, and DPS.
Let me back up.
It's dot time optimizing spreadsheet easier to play. And if you're a healer main, you already guessed it, the total death of the Trinity system. And no, I'm not talking about the religious one. Let's think about the general premise of the Trinity. You have tanks, healers, and DPS. DPS and healers can't take damage for shit, so they need tanks in order to not get DP double-fisted by any voided chocobo that looks in their general direction. Tanks need healers because even though they're the swinging schlong alpha podcast Chad of the team, they're only human. They can take more hits, but that doesn't make them immortal. Of course, DPS need healers because 90% of them suck at the game and they need someone to wipe their ass for them, as is the law of any MMO. And finally, tanks and healers need DPS because they don't want to spend 2 hours throwing cotton balls at the enemy until it finally keels over. And up until Shadowbringers, the Trinity was alive and well, gently suckling on one another's teats in the most beautiful little throuple you've ever seen. That all changed when the blood-wedding nation attacked. Do I jest? Only a little bit. Warrior is far from the only problem with the Trinity system right now, but it was the first big blow, and the trend has only worsened with time. When I was still playing healer, anytime I got a warrior in my team, I would begin the 5-stage process of grief, because I knew I was about to have the most mind-numbingly boring dungeon experience of my goddamn life. There is no skill involved with carrying as a warrior. It is incredibly easy to press Bloodwedding on cooldown, and if you press it on cooldown, you win, whether you have a healer or you don't. In fact, if you want to be a real jackass, there's a fun little prank you can play on the party. If the healer ever dies, you can make sure you don't use any of your tools to keep the DPS alive, and then proceed to solo the boss, flexing your EP in front of their corpses, forcing them to wait half an hour for you to finish one enemy. Very fun. I love when that happens.
Whenever you're dead and you realize that the tank is gonna do this, and everyone's like, no, hey, go ahead and die, you can die, it's okay, we'll start over, and they don't, and you know, you might as well lock in for the night, because you're not going anywhere for at least half an hour. Yeah, go grab a drink, go take a shot, maybe go to McDonald's, come back, do the laundry. I love it when the tank does that, because it reminds me of how cool he is. Usually when that happens, I think, oh my goodness, I had no idea that this guy was such a gamer and such a Chad. Thank goodness that he wasted all of our time and made this dungeon take 5 times longer than it needed to, because now I see that he's just such a Chad. So I'm very impressed.
And if the warrior is sentient enough to use their healing tools on the DPS, then it's straight up optimal to ignore the Trinity and run a dungeon with a warrior and 3 DPS
Actually,
instead.
yeah, it's
After
better.
all, DPS is king in this game, and for whatever reason, Daddy P has decided that healers should have the least of it. Nowadays, warrior isn't the only problem child. This plague of adding cracked healing tools to non-healer kits has only festered.
Yeah, but okay. Doesn't this also say something about the dungeon design? That this is possible too. Like, it's not just the fact that healers, tanks have insane mitigation tools, which and self-sustain, but it's also the encounter design makes it possible also. And I just don't think dungeons are very fun in 14 at this point. And I really don't know. Like, having a more interesting boss here and there in Dawn Trail hasn't really changed that opinion for me. I just don't think it's very fun.
Paladin also has incredible self-sustain. Gunbreaker has respectable self-sustain. Dark Knight is... okay, well, there's an exception to every rule, but the point is, the plague has turned into a pandemic, reaching even the DPS. Reaper has a heal over time, Dancer has an
True.
AoE heal, Summoner
True.
has an AoE heal, Pictomancer has a fucking shield. Am I missing anyone? Healers themselves keep getting new healing tools when they already have more healing than they'll ever need, as long as they play in a party that has a pulse.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how many healing tools a healer has. You look at the kit designed for a healer, and you might assume that this is a job designed to be healing around the clock, like sweating their buns off, constantly hitting every heal button and barely keeping a party alive based on how many tools that they have. That's just not the case. It just really isn't happening. You end up not using most of that.
People with an inflation kink must love this trend, because with the amount of bloat you have in healers' kits, I doubt they're ever able to play this game fully soft. Yeah, but Lucy, that's just in dungeons and normal mode content. That doesn't matter. Only hard
10 glares to every 1 heal is a white mage. It's not fun.
has a pulse. People with an inflation kink must love this trend, because with the amount of bloat you have in healers' kits, I doubt they're ever able to play this game fully soft.
But I want to press all the healing buttons. I like healing. I wanted to do that. There's a reason why the only time I ever healed in FF14 was Stormblood Astrology. That's the only time. It's the only time that I felt like it was engaging for me. I have never done it outside of that. Ever.
Yeah, but Lucy, that's
It's
just
just
in
boring.
dungeons and normal mode content. That doesn't matter. Only hardcore stuff matters when it comes to balance. Follow Yoshi P's advice. And if you want to have fun as a healer, go play Ultimate. First of all, I hate this reasoning. Because what you're really saying to me is this. Healers shouldn't be allowed to enjoy the game unless they're going sweaty tryhard mode. But hey, don't worry. I got you covered on that front.
But let me back up a little bit so I can get back on track with what we were talking about.
Content, that doesn't matter. Only hardcore stuff matters when it comes to balance. Follow Yoshi P's advice. And if you want to have fun as a healer, go play Ultimate.
This
First
is
of
so
all,
annoying.
I hate this reasoning. Because what you're really saying
It's
to
so
me
annoying.
is this. Healers shouldn't be allowed to enjoy the game unless they're going sweaty tryhard mode. But hey, don't...
Well, it reminded me of, it's like if you're a healer and you're complaining that you're bored in casual content, yeah, people will just be like, oh, well, it's obviously you're supposed to be bored in the casual content. It's a dungeon. It's not supposed to be exciting. You're supposed to be bored. It's fine. It's easy. Go do a Savage. And then if you say, well, I'm bored in the Savage, they say, well, Savage is supposed to be flexible content. Why don't you play Ultimate? Okay, it's not really meant for you then. If it's so easy for you, then it's probably a problem with you. You should do Ultimate. And then you go do Ultimate. And you're like, hey, I noticed that they cleared Ultimate without healers. People will say, oh, well, that's not normal. It's just only 1% groups can do that. So it's nothing to worry about. I find that I don't have enough healing to do in the Ultimate. It's just, don't worry about it. Just do Ultimate. Also, saying just do Ultimate is such a crazy thing to say. That's so crazy. You know that is crazy to suggest that someone get a group together of like unbelievably skilled players and dedicate a schedule in their life to consistently progress in this content for months, probably at least weeks, if they're like god gamers, but more like months, maybe even years. That's what you're telling someone to do. I know people, it took them years to clear an ultimate. Why would you tell someone that as a solution? Ultimate is meant to be pie in the sky, not everyday content. So we want the everyday content to be fun and exciting for everybody, right? We want healers to have fun.
Don't worry, I got you covered on that front. Because Ultimate has already...
Did those people use cheat plugins though? Honestly, good question. Cheat plugins is a whole other enchilada, Infinity. I can't even, let's not even open that can of worms yet, but that is an issue. Yes.
Go play Ultimate. First of all, I hate this reasoning. Because what you're really saying to me is this. Healers shouldn't be allowed to enjoy the game unless they're going sweaty tryhard mode. But hey, don't worry. I got you covered on that front. Because Ultimate has already been cleared without healers. Those are like the top 0,
Those are the top 1%.
of players. Not everyone could do that. Yeah, and I also don't know how to hack into Square Enix's mainframe and find the forbidden ERP logs between GMs. Is that a skill issue on my part, or do you think it's by design? Fact of the matter is, if the devs didn't want you clearing without healers, they wouldn't make it possible no matter what you did. They've gone back and fixed things where tanks weren't necessary. In the case of healers, they just don't care. And neither does the majority of the player base, it seems. I suspect it's because they don't want their overpowered healing toys yanked away, or because they don't play healer and...
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. If the content you're doing is too easy, then why wouldn't you try to do whatever the harder content in the game is? Totally valid and a normal line of reasoning. I think that the issue that is being criticized here, though, is that when healers are complaining about just feeling generally bored and not enough to do in the different levels and tiers of content. So feeling like, I think that ideally we want everything that you do to be satisfying and engaging in some way. And then whenever you are pushing yourself to go into a higher tier of difficulty, you're doing that because you want a greater challenge for yourself, not because you're bored to tears with what you're currently doing. If that makes sense. I think that a lot of times people say, oh, well, just go do something harder. To be dismissive to the person who's trying to voice that the content that they're currently doing, the content that they want to do, isn't really hitting it. It isn't really, you know, it's not, they're not getting out of it what they hoped to get out of it.
thus don't give a shit. But hey, it keeps happening and will continue to happen. The most recent Savage tier was cleared without healers, I think on week 2. Very ordinary stuff, perfectly healthy for the game. Wait, oh shit. I have an incoming voice message from Yoshi P. Do any of you guys understand Japanese?
Oh my god.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, healers don't—
You know, the devs watch these videos. Yoshi P will 100% see this. Like, I have very little doubt that he's going to see that. Just you know that, right? He's definitely gonna see that. Yes, it says, enjoy the cuck chair healer mains, because this is your new normal. That's what it says.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, healers don't like Yoshi's cuck chair. In fact, healer disappointment has reached such an insane level that there's a thread on the official forums with over 1,000 pages. Healers are pissed, and the devs have been turning a blind eye to it since 5.0. 5 years. 5 years healers have been left in this state with no promise of balance or even changes to their DPS kit to at least give them something, anything to do while the warrior main solos by breathing. And if I sound gamer rage mad, it's because I am. I loved healing in this game, goddamn. But I was obsessed with it, talked about it all the time. Hell, I started my fucking career over it. So, yeah, pardon me if I'm a little pissed, but I'm not going to apologize for having passion about a game I've put years of my life into. The devs have two choices if they actually care about fixing this. They can either bring the roles back into balance with one another and restore the Trinity, or they can admit they hate dealing with healers and just axe them entirely from the game. I'd take either one at this point. At least that would be proof that the devs have a direction in mind and that they're pursuing it with confidence. But for now, we're left with wishy-washy healer kits that only ever get fun when the party is really, really bad at playing the game. And considering how easy the content is, yeah, that usually doesn't happen. But I don't see this metaphorical genie being put back into the bottle. I don't think these devs are strong enough.
It's going
now
to
that they've given tanks and DPS these strong heals.
I think that I wouldn't put it as the devs aren't strong enough. I don't really see it that way. I can't make any kind of judgment call on what they're personally like. But I think that they just have this tendency to take half measures and take small steps instead of taking big, decisive action. Like, this is such a good point that she made about, I wish that they would just pick a direction and go full blast at it. So at least then it would feel like, instead of this, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, we'll test this out and see if players like it. And this is like, it feels like they don't have a clear vision and clear goal in mind that they could just go on into, like, with confidence into the future. I think they're, by constantly testing the waters to check player response and then moving based on that, I think this is not really a good strategy. And I think that it's affected the story too, because I remember at the media tour for Dawn Trail, Yoshi saying, you know, we're gonna see how players react to the story at Dawn Trail, then we'll go from there. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Like, as a writer, I'm thinking, you don't have a, like, a roadmap that you're confident about for this story. You're gonna just see what players think. That's crazy. To me, I thought that was crazy. But this is apparently how they do everything. And I think it's too much. I think they've been listening a little bit. Like, it's good to listen, but I don't know if they are tunneling on a certain people that they're listening to and not thinking of what everyone might want. I was listening to an interview that Nobble did with Ian Hazakostas. It was a World of Warcraft interview the other day. It was last week. And in it, Ian said something that I felt was pretty important revelation that they had over there, which was, Ian said, we need to not just listen to what players are asking for and what the vocal minority are asking for. We need to also think, what do players want that are not vocal, which is the silent majority. Like, what can we give players that we think we would be confident about, that we could give, that they aren't asking for? That's a decision you have to make as a dev based on your inspiration and your, like, confidence in the product that you're creating.
They're not gonna take them back. Most warriors defend their overpowered job tooth and nail, and I mean, who can blame them?
Right, who can blame them? Exactly. That's why a lot of times players will ask for stuff that isn't good for the game. Like, obviously, you're not gonna be like, oh, you guys should definitely nerf my job. No one's gonna say that. Like, as a dev, you have to look at the balance and look at what's good overall for the health of the long-term health of the game.
I don't understand how playing something practically unkillable is fun for them.
Why they ask?
Some people like being the Mary Sue of an MMO. I can't criticize them because I sort of joined them.
Oh, Lucy, you haven't even started talking about the story, girl. We haven't even started on the story.
Switch to gun.
I haven't even talked about any of this shit. I mean, not on my main channel. I don't think I even mentioned this. I didn't have to. I have enough problems.
Breaker in 6.0 and didn't look back. The tank role as a whole is broken and receives constant glazing in the form of buffs, overpowered kits, and special mounts they get just for doing duties while existing as a tank.
Yeah.
I figured, why continue being a second-class citizen when I could just main a job that the devs actually like? And I think this switching of roles is what gave me the patience to keep playing for the majority of 6.0 to 6.5. But it wasn't enough. And unfortunately,
Oh, why keep being a second-class citizen when I could switch to a role the devs actually like? This is like a military-grade cope that you have been on. And it really, I relate to you so much because it's like clinging on fiercely to the passion that you have, like fighting for it, fighting for your place in this game where you can keep loving it and keep enjoying it. Like, I've been there. I like just whatever it takes. If I have to change roles, I'll do it. Yes, Lumina. They're too cautious and cater to the wrong people. I agree with that.
patience to keep playing for the majority of 6.0 to 6.5, but it wasn't enough. And unfortunately for the players, and very fortunately for me milking the hell out of this video's time duration, the Trinity system isn't the only thing showing a lack of effort from the devs. Perhaps one of the biggest so-called black pills in 14 is the slow removal of content over time. See, the whole idea behind having longer patch cycles and waiting longer for new content was that it would result in a better gaming experience. After all, what else are they doing with all that extra time? The answer may surprise you. Drum roll, please.
Oh no. Oh
They've
no.
added a grand total of exactly less content than you had in the 3-month patch cycle. You know, when I've had a long day of hard work, and I just need some time to unwind with my favorite MMO of all time, I love to go sit in my comfy chair, log in, and do nothing. God, I love doing nothing. How do the devs expect us to do all this nothing they're making for us? Sarcasm aside, I do see people questioning the devs' thought process all the time. Like,
Oh my
what
God.
do they see as the motivation to
Oh
keep
my God.
casual players logging in when there's nothing new to do for months at a time? Don't fret, because I'm 90% sure I have the answer. They are hinging their bets on the role-playing community. I genuinely think their idea is that enough people are going to reach enlightenment just by dressing up their cat girl and AFKing in Limsa Square with a dance emote. A paid dance emote, by the way. Because let's not forget that putting emotes in the cash shop is way more profitable than turning it into an event reward. God forbid we made actual content for the game. Just make product and sell it as quickly as possible or the shareholder might lose his erection. Yeah, man, the game devs do a little uptime maximizing of their own, and their motto is ABC. Always be cock-sucking. But
Oh my
the sad part is,
God.
they keep doing it because it works. There is a significant part of
Do you think that they really are just banking on the role-playing community to sustain the game financially through selling emotes and stuff? I don't know, because I don't have access to those numbers. Like, I don't know. Do role players even buy these outfits on the cash shop? If you're using mods that gives you the outfit for free that you can put on your character, why would you pay money for that if you could just have a mod that puts it on your character for you? Yes. What does chat think? They are still paying the sub. Yes, that is true. My theory is they're designing for the JP community who have only 2 hours or less a day. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense to me. To play the game. For them, they have enough content. The reason that makes a lot of sense to me is because of Yoshi P's response when he was asked about dungeon design, and he defended the dungeon package, saying that they perfectly mathematically math out how long the dungeon will take so that a person with extremely limited time can like book it into their schedule for the night. So they know exactly how long it's going to take for them to do it. That makes a lot of sense to me. They're designing it for people that have literally 1 to 2 hours to play. But I think that's still possible to do while having it be a little bit more fun. Like, I think not having a lot of time to play doesn't necessarily mean that the time you spend has to be like that formulaic too. It's mostly modders doing their job for them, making clothes when Square Enix gives reskin of reskin, and the list goes on. Do role players, okay, as role players, I have to say yes, they are making bank. I know role players, a lot of them have more than one character too, so you're buying it multiple times for different characters. I think it's partly an overcorrection from FF11. I don't get it. Has healers really been useless for 5 fucking years? The usefulness of a healer depends on how bad the party is. So a healer will be very useful while you're learning, but then they kind of do outlive their usefulness. Oh God, that sounds horrible. I can't speak to that. To be perfectly honest with you, I only played a healer in Stormblood with Astrology. I'm not a healer main. So I'm not the person to really ask about how it's been. I can only tell you my experience with why I'm not a healer main, because it's just not been fun enough for me to stay interested. I have ADHD, and this requires me to be like pretty engaged, or else I'll get bored, whatever I'm playing. That's why I like Dancer so much. Dancer is great, but as fun as Dancer is, I still find myself bored in dungeon content. So when you get to the late game, Tank takes the healer behind the shed. We don't talk about that. Yeah. Okay, anyway, let's just continue. Let's just continue on.
Always be cock-sucking. But the sad part is, they keep doing it because it works. There is a significant part of the player base that couldn't give a shit about the actual game. They just use it as their ERP hub and keep their sub active so they can find out what happens at the end of the Rogan game thing they started last Wednesday. Sprinkle a little cash shop slut glam on top, and you have Yoshi P's dream player right there. And
to be honest, we have not gotten enough slut glams in the cash shop at all. Okay? Like, I'm the first to buy those. And lately, it's been this baggy street clothes. I don't want that. I personally find it hard to believe that the devs are consciously saying to each other, hey, let's just not make content, and only the people doing roleplay and ERP will play our game. Like, I don't think that they're consciously doing that. That doesn't make sense. That's why, to me, it makes more sense that they're just designing the game for people with very limited time. Very limited time. That's that. But then again, they could also feel like, okay, the amount of content we make is enough. Number of sales we make in the cash shop right now, it's enough. It's sustaining us. This model we have now is giving us enough to proceed. And therefore, we don't need to push the envelope. We don't need to like go crazy. We don't want to change it up too much, because what we're doing now is okay enough. And to me, it's just, who can possibly explain their refusal to innovate and push out a lot of new things? I don't know. That's not something I have information about.
let it be known that I'm not bidding on roleplay. I've done a little cringe activity back in my Tumblr heyday, but I'll be damned if I let Yoshi P prioritize the roleplaying.
Let me just say one more thing. Oh my God, I know I'm pausing it constantly. I know I'm pausing it constantly. I love the role-playing community. I think it's amazing the game has such a fantastic role-playing community, and of course it does, because we have incredible emotes in this game. However, biggest issue I have with the cash shop and all that is the fact that there's just no way at all to work towards getting cash shop items outside of paying money. And this is the only MMO that I play where that is the case. I play Elder Scrolls Online and I play World of Warcraft. And in both of those games, there are methods in place that if you really wanted something in the cash shop and you don't have real money to spend on it because you're already paying for a subscription fee, you can do activities in the game. And through those activities, you can collect a currency that will let you buy the thing that way. And FF14 doesn't let you do that, which I think is pretty bad in the modern space.
Have Yoshi P's dream player right there. And let it be known that I'm not sitting on roleplay. I've done a little cringe activity back in my Tumblr heyday, but I'll be damned if I let Yoshi P prioritize the role-playing scene over actual content. The fact that a lot of people defend the cash shop is another debate entirely. Misshapen Chair made a great video on that, so check that out in the pinned comment if you want to hear my controversial take. I'm not getting into it here, but even if you ignore the paid emotes, paid outfits, paid dyes, paid mounts, you get the idea. Then you'll have to wrestle with the fact that the game objectively has less content than ever before. Let me give a brief overview. First, we went from getting 2 new expert dungeons in a patch to only 1. Whatever. Small potatoes, right? Just walk it off. And then we lost our job quests and got role quests instead. A decently sized blow. Many people enjoyed them, and we would no longer be getting updates to the quests that embellish the job and class fantasy we were so drawn to in the first place.
Man. Role quests. God. I remember back to when we got 2 dungeons per patch. We didn't know how good we had it. We would complain about Never Reap. God, the role quests from Dawn Trail have been absolutely terrible. Like, the ones that I have done so far, I just don't want to do anymore. I don't think I can. They're just terrible. Like, maybe the ones I've done are the ones that are not good. Maybe I need to do one that's good that you guys could tell me about. But so far, I really don't want to do more. And it's just not worth it to get the dyes for my outfit. I'm just...
Were the role quests at least better written or longer? Not really, but I mean, there's so many
But we lost job quests for this.
jobs in the game. I guess it was too much to keep up with.
I
And
guess.
at least we still have our relic grind, right? Isn't that something we can spend a lot of time having fun with in game? Sorry, man. About those relics. Yeah, those are just tomestones now. Yeah, you can just buy it by running the same 2 dungeons in expert roulette over and over again. Sorry. Is that disappointing? Don't worry, guys. We're working on new content. There's just so much other content we're developing. Can't you see? Look at how much content you have now! What are the new things we have? Well, we have Island Sanctuary, which turned out to be less like a farming simulator and more like a click and wait simulator. We also have Criterion Dungeons, which gave out less than like a farming simulator and more...
I was excited for Island Sanctuary because I was expecting the gameplay loop to be something similar to Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. Instead, it's just an Excel spreadsheet simulator. Yeah, they turned the most playground, player agency driven, creative content type of content into a straight line conveyor belt. I'm actually shocked by the implementation that they went with. I could not believe it. When we first unlocked the Island Sanctuary, everybody had the same like kind of feeling like, what? I thought we were supposed to be on vacation. I thought this was like an island getaway. But that would be the first time we found out that they don't know what vacation means. Okay.
Or like a click and wait simulator. We also have Criterion Dungeons, which gave out less than stellar rewards. We also have new extreme trials. I mean, not really. They're just old extreme trials, rebalanced for the current level cap, so we're just recycling old shit and putting mediocre rewards on it. But yeah, that's technically new. We're also getting seasonal events. Less and less, with each one taking...
Disappointed in seasonal events. A few lines of dialogue. Walk X feet. A few lines of dialogue. Return. A few lines of dialogue. Seasonal event complete. I wouldn't even use the word lackluster. It's not strong enough. It's a shame because I have fond memories of making plans with friends to go check out seasonal content, play mini games, check out the attire and decor. It's a shame because I have other titles in my regular rotation that put honest effort into their events. I'm not paying $15 a month to play those titles. Yeah, events in FF14 are pretty lame compared to other games that I play. But I think that, again, this might go back to our running theory about how they're trying to design a game for people that have extremely limited time. Because every time it's taken about the exact same amount of time for me to get to the point where I started the quest and the point where I have got the item from the event. And that seems to be the most important thing, is just making sure that it takes a very specific amount of time to finish. But, oh man. The holiday events. The last time I did one was for the Valentine's event. And it was okay. Like, the stories haven't really been great. But this one was, I think, slightly better than the Christmas story, which was, I think, quite bad. The Christmas story, I think it was, hey, everybody is working really hard. And so can you pass out juice to everybody in the new screenshot area? And you say, okay. And you go pass out juice. And you're done. That is it. That was the story. That was the Christmas story. So, I mean, I don't usually expect the stories to be great. But I think that's, more and more I start to feel like that's kind of an issue. Because there's other games I play where the seasonal stories are fun. And they're cute. You know, they don't have to be life-changing. I don't have to cry. But I mean, they could feel a little more inspired than that. I don't know. I did the Valentine's story on stream, and I don't know. Okay, let's just. I don't have to beat a dead horse about this. Let's just move on.
Less time than the one before it, and offering increasingly worse rewards, and
they used to be good. I remember the orphan story from Christmas one time being really cute. I remember the little Yeti story. It was really cute. They've done it a couple times.
Other than that, we have, hold on, let me just sift through my files here. We have, oh, here it is. We finally put Hilda's hairstyle in the cash shop. What's that? Have we fixed the housing situation? Well, no, that's not. Yeah, you do have to stay sub to keep your house, of course you do. Are you looking forward to...
I swear to God, the threat of losing my house is the only thing that keeps me playing during dead patches. And by playing, I mean paying $15 to log into my house, then immediately log out once every 30 days. Lord forgive me, but I was so grateful for periods of crisis like the hurricane that paused the demo timer. Oh my God. What the fuck? That's horrible. Oh my God, that's horrible. That's horrible.
Are you looking forward to getting new outfits in the dungeons and crafted gear? Don't go too crazy with your expectations there. The vast majority are just recolors and...
Just don't have a house, man. Just don't. Just give up on it, okay? I don't have one anymore. I gave up.
Are you looking forward to getting new outfits in the dungeons and crafted gear? Don't go too crazy with your expectations there. The vast majority are just recolors and dyeable versions of old stuff. Do the and Hrothgar at least have hats yet? Oh yeah, it has been years by now. Hey.
This is a new trend, isn't it? The Endwalker dungeon armor sets being recolors. Yeah, is this a new trend? I feel like I remember them doing the dungeon armor set showcase in the past. Like, I remember when they released the, from Shadowbringers, the dungeon with the castle, and they released that gear that's like wolfy gear. It used to be, I think I remember them doing like dungeon armor showcase for every patch, but I could be wrong. This might be interesting to look into to see if this is actually a new trend. How many times are we getting new dungeon gear sets or not? Yeah. I thought it was criminal there was only one cyberpunk set and everything else was a recolor. Seems same as in the past. Sometimes new, sometimes a reskin or dyeable of previous set. Yeah, I don't have the data on that, but I'm curious.
Versions of old stuff. Do Viera and Hrothgar at least have hats yet? Oh yeah, it has been years by now. Hey man, the devs need 4 months between patch cycles. What are you, a slave driver? The trend is clear. You, as the player, are getting less and less content while putting in the same exact money you did when they were giving you more. And there are people out there who will tell you that wanting more is bad. That wanting more is asking for the game devs to be overworked and abused. Who are these mysterious individuals, the White Knights, who come to defend the billion-dollar company's honor? The legendary, the fabled, the ever-present great community, by the way. That's right, if all of that wasn't enough, Final Fantasy 14 is backed up by a community that defends it from criticism as if 14 is the project of a few poor, underfunded indie devs instead of Square fucking Enix. The great community, by the way, gamer, follows a simple line of protocol. The DDD. Deny, dismiss, and downplay. That's a fun game you can do. See if you can spot the different types as we go along. The most infamous part of these specimens is their constant criticism of, quote, elitism within the game. Of course, to them, elitism is when you're semi-competent at playing. Asking for harder normal content so you don't fall asleep in dailies. Elitism. Asking for job complexity. Elitism. Asking for healers to have more DPS options. Believe it or not, elitism. In their eyes, anything that doesn't cater to the lowest common denominator is for elitist scum. And you better believe that if you want to kick that healer from your party who's doing nothing but casting cure when you're already at full HP, you're just elitist, bro. You're not dead, so they're totes doing their job. How dare you ask for more from the player base? Stop being such an elitist, my guy. Not everyone wants to try hard by having a basic understanding of the game like you. They've done this since the dawn of the game, always hiding behind some corner, waiting for someone to make the grave error of asking for more difficulty or complexity. Then they jump out of the bushes to tell you that they know someone who's disabled, or someone who doesn't have a lot of time to play the games, or someone who only plays for the story. As if there aren't already solutions to every one of these problems. You suck at the game and don't want to burden anyone? Use trust. You're busy and you want to see just the story? Watch a playthrough of only the story parts. Dozens of those exist on this very platform. You're disabled but want to play with your friends? Why not try out Summoner, a very mobile job that can be played with one hotbar and controller. It's not that people don't want these accessibility options to exist, it's that they don't want that to become the entire game. Future Lucy adding to this point. I really hate the accessibility argument that people make to defend the devs, because while I was putting together this video, I literally found a thread with about 80 pages worth of people talking about how the new graphics hurt their eyes and makes the game unplayable. These people have gone completely ignored, with not even a mention from the devs. And considering how easy it would be to add some settings to get rid of the bloom and maybe lower the brightness, I really don't know how you could actually believe they care about accessibility. Okay, back to the video.
Yeah, I think obviously we want the game to have options for people that are disabled, that don't have a lot of time, that are new. We want that. The problem is when these desires and these needs are weaponized by people that use it to dismiss valid criticism of the game. That is horrible. Like, that is the case a lot of the time. You know, you're just trying to point out like how you want a game to have be a little more challenging for you, and make you feel more engaged in various ways. And someone who just doesn't want to hear it, it's just another little thing some people like to pull out of their pocket to be dismissive. Oh, well, yeah. Obviously, we want accessibility options, and we want different tiers of difficulty that can cater to different kinds of people that can engage with the game in various ways for all kinds of million different reasons. That's something I think that the game could really improve at personally. Like, I never would want the game to just suddenly get harder and leave a ton of people in the dark or leave a ton of people behind. I don't want that. I want there to be, as I've always said, a normal spectrum of difficulty that you can hop in at wherever you're comfortable with and progress from there in a way that's natural to you. This is something that actually I think World of Warcraft does extremely well. It's one of the reasons that I found that game to be so accessible. No matter how much effort you want to put in, how much time you want to put in, there's something for you that's going to be fun. That's there for you. But the problem is when people use this, they throw out accessibility options just so that you'll shut up, really. Like, this is not the same as people that genuinely want different kinds of
Just felt
options.
that deserved mentioning. But in the eyes of the great community, by the way, this is toxicity. And asking for normal mode content to be anything more than a brain-dead slug is a sin. But they defend much more than the gameplay. They're also ride or die for the story, no matter how low it's fallen. Let's take Dawn Trail, for example. Twitter in particular was the Wook Lamont Defense Squad. Any criticism of her writing would get you called a plethora of insults. Illiterate, brain-rotted by TikTok, and edgelord. I'm pretty sure they just started pulling shit out of a hat at some point. There were even people straight up calling the story brilliant and some of the best writing in the game. If you don't like it, you don't have an attention span. You're just a selfish brat who can't stand when the spotlight isn't on you. You're just a bigot. You hate women. You're a negative Nancy who hates happiness. And if you're right and the story is mid and the quality is down, don't worry. They're just world building right now. It's impossible.
It's just exhausting, really. I've heard it all at this point. It's exhausting to constantly try to have a conversation with people that only engage with you in bad faith. They don't care about listening to what you have to say. They don't care. They only want to dismiss you and get you to shut up already. That's it. Like, it's tiresome.
Possible to make a good story in a new world, right? Let's ignore the fact that they literally did that with Shadowbringers. Let's make excuses for the writing team. Guys, have some sympathy. It's really hard to sell books too, because all of them are required to world build for 400 pages before they make things interesting. That's why there's no such thing as a booming bookstore industry selling novels that only have one volume. This community made me feel genuinely gaslit about my experience with Dawn Trail. It wasn't just one or two people jumping to the game's defense, it was thousands. But if I had to summarize my thoughts on the story after giving it time, letting it sink in, and coming back to it with a clear head, it still felt like an insult to the player's intelligence, as if it was asking you to forget every lesson you learned in each expansion up until that point and throw it all away, because
that was how I
this
felt
time
here.
the happy and wholesome character will get exactly what they want, with no real long-lasting consequences thrown their way. It was so antithetical to the worlds of Heavensward and Stormblood and Shadowbringers to the point that I could not reconcile them. It legitimately killed my interest in the story. I'll pause my thoughts on Dawn Trail there, because this is more so about the toxic positivity the community throws at it, and other creators have already done a great job breaking it down, particularly Zepla's video, which I highly encourage you to check out if the topic interests you. Her thoughts almost perfectly echo mine, so just imagine Zepla saying it in a much whinier, annoying, and high-pitched voice, and then it's almost like you're still listening to a Lucy Pyre video. Does it end here? Do they at least know?
I appreciate that. Appreciate the shout out. Hey, that's me. I did the story and it was devastating. I could not even really talk about the story for at least a month. I realized that I felt a lot of different just bad feelings about it, and I took a lot of time away just to clear my head so I could come back and make a video that I felt would be objective and that would just, in the most civil way possible, lay out everything that I felt was a genuine writing issue. And I'm really proud of that video. I think I accomplished what I set out to do, but there's still so much that I need to say, and it's been really, really difficult to go back and like say more, because typically my content on my channel has been driven by passion and love and excitement and joy for the game. That is my whole YouTube channel, is all that. That's all of it. That's the engine. And without that passion, like really revving the engine, it has been slow going indeed. I am still working on it. I do have a video in the works. It's like, there's so much more I need to say, but I don't know. It's been hard. This is actually the first time in all my years of playing FF. I started in 2015, so it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. This is the first time where I just didn't care about upcoming story. Like with 7.1, when 7.1 was coming out, I remember saying, I don't really expect the story to be good, but I'm looking forward to the other content. That's insane. That's actually crazy for me to say something like that. Same for this 7.2. We have a live letter on Friday. And I'm like, well, I'm looking forward to the content, like Occult Crescent, and I hope I'll enjoy that and the new dungeon and stuff, but I do not care about the story. I don't think this story is going to be good. They've completely, like, I have zero faith this is going to be good. I'm waiting for 8.0 at this point. If 8.0 is a disaster, I really don't. I'll just become a Meteon, probably. I'll just I'll become a blasphemy. Most likely. Just be totally, it's gonna be bad. So hopefully it will be good, but
When to call it quits? Sure, they blow smoke up the gameplay and the story's ass, but surely they wouldn't defend something serious like, I don't know, a huge gaping security flaw? Nope. And strap in, because 14 players still stand in the way of the game's progress, even when it makes zero sense to do so. And I can prove it. They had one of their absolute greatest hits about 7 months ago, back when the devs rolled out their new blacklist system. For those of you who don't know, there's been some recent drama regarding data exploits, and without going into the nitty-gritty, here's what that means. Stalking you on your alts just became easy as hell for bad actors. Some absolute prophet, known as Fori Memory Sanat, hallowed be thy name, tried to warn the community at large about this, but they hated the Messiah because he told the truth. I know! Anyways, it's still miles and leagues better than the previous system where you couldn't get away from
8 months ago. That's right. We actually covered this. There was somebody 8 months ago who posted on Reddit saying, hey guys, this seems like a pretty serious security flaw. And someone could totally take advantage of it to like make a stalking add-on. What should we do? And everyone's like, oh my God, what are you so upset about? This is no big deal. Shut up.
people even if you wanted to. They're blacklisted anyway, so what's it matter?
What does it matter?
Different from them having your loads down. People have been tracking other players for years. I'm sure that stalkers love watching me AFK and old Daw for 96 hours. Well, hardly ideal. The people who would benefit from this the most are getting blacklisted anyway. If you're getting into situations where you're worried about people spreading slander about your alt accounts, even after you blacklisted them, you need to really touch grass and reevaluate your relationship with online games.
You need to touch grass. That's what they said. Okay. Yeah. This is actually a perfect example of what goes on in this community. That's so exhausting to me. Because honestly, this is just one small example, but it happens with every fucking thing. And then people wonder why things get worse. Well, it's because every time somebody tries to point something out that is a problem, they are just they're hounded by a million people coming out of the woodwork to tell you that it's not a problem and to gaslight you. And it's tiresome. I don't know if I can deal with it. Honestly. I have taken I'm still part of this community, and I guess I always will be. But goddamn. I'm streaming it a lot less, and I'm playing other stuff a lot more. And it has been a breath of fresh air to go into another game and be able to criticize it. And other people are like, oh, yeah, maybe that's a problem. Do you realize how crazy that was for me the first time I did that? I pointed out a problem in another game I was playing. And people are like, oh yeah, that could be an issue. I don't know. I'm like, what? You're not gonna... You think it's okay that I just said something bad about the game? I don't know. Like, the game sucks sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I? That's
This
not normal.
thread, for as important as the information within it turned out to be, only got 10 upvotes. Artwork of someone's borderline naked cat girl gets 100 times more. And the comments within the actual thread, all different ways of saying, no one
This is
gives
exhausting.
a fuck, or it's not a problem
Doesn't
anyway,
matter.
or
Yeah.
it's a problem, but you're just being paranoid if you think people will actually stalk you. Comments filled with misinformation and people who have no clue what they're talking about. All things they said with confidence and upvotes before an actual stalking plugin was created and distributed publicly to players, forcing everyone to pay attention to the very real issue Square Enix had created. If you've never been in a situation where you had to worry about your privacy in the online game that you use to unwind and relax, then congratulations. I envy you, but I am asking you to exercise a shred, a modicum of empathy when I tell you that there are awful, terrible people out there who stalk and harass and threaten over the most irrelevant shit you can think of. Undercutting on the
Yep.
market board, leaving a free company, having a bad day in Party Finder, rejecting someone who asked them to be their RuneScape girlfriend. All of these things have been reasons for stalking in-game. So I just want you to put yourself in their shoes for a moment. What if every time you wanted to have fun with your favorite game, someone came up to you and started giving you shit? What if no matter how many times you blocked them, they'd always have a new alt to troll you with? What if they somehow knew where you were in-game all the time? Wouldn't you just want some fucking privacy? Wouldn't you appreciate having a little bit of your anonymity back? If you can't understand why it's a problem, I can only assume one of two things. One, you're naive as hell, and you think evil people don't exist. Or two, you're a complete asshole who doesn't care about others, and you're arrogant enough to think it could never happen to you. Well, for your sake, I hope you're fucking right, because Square Enix has responded to the situation, and
I will say that everyone I know has either had a stalker in FF14 or knows someone that has had a stalker. That is not normal. The number of stalkers in this game is absolutely sky high. And I don't know why that is. But that is the case. Everyone I know has had one or knows someone that has one. Like, that's a close friend. It's horrible. It's horrific. But it's not a problem, I guess.
their response was, and I practically quote, please don't make plugins to stalk our users. That is very mean. We will sue. Oh, Future Lucy back again to let you know they have addressed this issue again in the latest live letter, but it's still unclear if they have an actual plan to fix it or if they're just reminding us that they know about it. At the very least, they don't seem to be in a rush to patch this out, so the point still stands.
They said they would start working on it in 7.2. So they're going to start working on a concept of a plan in 7.2. Yeah. So that's... Yep. In the chat right now, tons of people say that they indeed have had a stalker. I had a stalker and I'm a loner. I had one legit. I've had people go as far as sending me fake Discord DMs they had with my partner. That's what I'm saying. It's horrible.
No fix for the exploit, no rushing to solve their security flaws. Nothing that would actually solve the problem permanently. Because even though the plugin is no longer being distributed, they can't delete it from the people who already downloaded it. They can't stop people from making new copies. And hell, even if they magically could, the security is so bad that all you need is fucking Wireshark to figure out what you need to know. So no, their response is not enough. It's a joke. And it shows zero consideration for the people playing their game. I hate that this community dismisses real concerns until they're impossible to ignore. I hate that the person who whistleblowed this on Reddit was treated like a paranoid idiot. I hate that people defended the devs when they were objectively, factually undeserving of that defense. I hate how they are always standing in the way of this game's progress, as if 14 is this fragile being made of glass that will shatter if any criticism brushes its surface. But you know what? If 14 can't withstand...
But you know what? That's also lately how it seems the devs feel. Based on the way that they approach creating content. It's like they see it as this fragile piece of glass that will shatter if people criticize it or have anything bad to say about it. Feels like that.
And criticism of a literal security flaw, then I don't think it deserves our money in the first place. We as a community need to be better. We deserve better. And we should be asking for better. Stop cutting yourself, grow some balls, and quit paying them the sub money that they're just gonna use to bend over and fuck your cat girl wife with. Demand
oh my God.
security, because it's the bare minimum you deserve. This game is never,
wow.
and I do mean never.
Holy shit, Lucy. You're just straight up telling people to just unsub over this. I mean, I think the fact that they can't guarantee you the basic security of your account and ID, account information, that is a valid reason to unsub.
Going to improve as long as the player base is happy to consume whatever slop the devs dish out. Thankfully, the sheer number of people talking about the decline of this game and the dwindling sub numbers gives me hope that the tides are finally shifting. That players are starting to wake up to the problem that's been staring them in the face for so long, and that problem is this. Many of us sense no love or passion from the game devs. And sure, maybe we're looking in the wrong places. Maybe there are nuggets of careful thought and planning somewhere in the overarching scheme of things. But do we see it in the outdated character creation? Do we see it in the writing? Do we see it in the job design? The answer may shock you, but no. They're giving us the same old content cycle we've had since A Realm Reborn. New expert dungeon, new extreme trial, new 24-man raid, new 8-man raid, go try hard savage, go try hard the shiny new ultimate, with very little mid-core content to feed those in between, or even casual content.
Wow, I could not agree more.
The gear farm is the same as
this
ever.
Is how I feel.
And as stingy as ever, not allowing you to try new jobs in in-game without investing your limited resources into it. Fuck with the way tomes are done in this game, I feel like Final Fantasy XIV is a gacha game and I just hit my Battle Pass weekly XP limit. Why the hell am I paying a monthly subscription for a free-to-play experience? If the devs
oh my God! Oh my God! Let her cook.
Us to be able to play every job on
Let
one
me back it up.
for content to feed those in between, or even casual content in Dawntrail's case. The gear farm is the same as ever, and as stingy as ever, not allowing you to try new jobs in in-game without investing your limited resources into it. Fuck with the way tomes are done in this game, I feel like Final Fantasy XIV is a gacha game and I just hit my Battle Pass weekly XP limit. Why the hell am I paying a monthly subscription for a free-to-play experience?
I can't believe
The
this.
devs want us to be able to play every job on one character. Then why can't they put their money where their mouth is and fix the gear problem? The game devs are playing a type of gay chicken with all of us. Yeah, I said it. Just instead of making homoerotic eye contact, they're trying to see how little they can give before you finally break away. And can you blame them? Why would you try new things if people are paying for the old? Why work harder when you can make up the missing sub money in cash shop sales? Why give a when the shareholder has lined pockets and fat stomachs, when Square Enix takes the money this game makes and shuffles it into other, less successful projects. And in that same vein, I feel terrible on the behalf of the devs who do put in effort, only to not be rewarded for it, only to have the profits they made siphoned into projects that have nothing to do with them.
That's Square
would be
Enix.
demotivating for anyone, and Square Enix needs to do better by them as well. The devs of this game can be better because they have been better. This is a verifiable fact. They have made fun and engaging jobs in the past.
True.
They have made challenging content. They have added events that give cosmetics instead of shuffling them into their cash shop. They can do it again, but they won't unless the numbers speak. They won't unless Tanaka shareholder son starts knocking on their front door or back door. I'm not sure which position Japanese game devs prefer. At least at Blizzard, I heard they like doing it with milk or something. Whatever. The point is, with all of the doom posting about sub numbers and game dissatisfaction going around, I want to encourage you to do just one thing. Don't pity the devs. Don't pity Yoshi P. Don't feel bad that the game is declining, or that sub numbers are dwindling, or that most people who talk about the game only have negative things to say these days. Don't sink into paranoia that the game is going to die if you criticize it, because the irony is that if you don't, it probably fucking will. Join them, add to the voices speaking out, and then maybe, just maybe, Final Fantasy XIV will go back to being a game worth making videos about, worth playing, worth investing time into, and absolutely worth making sexy femboy alts to ELP with. Yeah, I do want this game to struggle. I want people to speak up loud and clear about the problems they have with it. I want to see the consequences of years worth of bad decisions pile up on the devs, and I want them to feel the full weight of it on their shoulders, not because I'm a WoW Andy who jumps shit, not because I'm a shitster who loves to see people suffer, but because I'm a proud and 14 player, and I refuse to stand for what my game has shit the bed and fallen into. If a period of low numbers in sales is what we need to get back on track, then I welcome it with open arms. I want to see these capable game devs wipe the dirt off, roll their sleeves up, and get back to cooking some real gamer shit. In conclusion, Mikodes, get money. I can't sign your sub. This video has been a long time coming. It took me
I'll let it play out.
well to write because I couldn't organize my thoughts or figure out exactly what deserved to be said and what was just rambling. I'm pretty sure I still rambled, but you'll have to forgive me for that on the account of I'm a woman and that's what I do best by nature. There are a lot of emotions and feelings intertwined with what I hope are valid points to be made about the game, so it took me a while to make this script coherent. I have no clue how many people who watch me care about 14 these days, but this is something that's been lingering in my subconscious for over a year now. Now that it's finally out of my head, I feel a lot better, and I hope it helps everyone understand where my mind is at in terms of the game right now and making content for it. There's probably stuff I'm missing or forgot to mention, but since this will probably be my longest script to date, forgive me if I forgot to mention whatever Yoshi P's aunt's uncle's dog's cousin is up to lately. Besides, that's what the comment section is for. Please share your thoughts if you have any, because I genuinely want to hear them. And for those of you who are bigger fans of me, thank you very much. Thank you for your endless reserves of patience and your kindness and waiting for me to finally get my together enough to make this. And a shout out to all of you who still have a YouTube membership to me, even though I haven't been feeding you very well at all. And finally, a special thanks to my patrons, especially those of you at the highest tier.
So, man, this pretty much exactly sums up the way that I feel about the state of the game and like this sense of wanting the game to be good again, like to be the game that I loved before, but I don't know if I really have hope at this point. I feel like as time goes on, it becomes more and more difficult for me to believe that things will change significantly, because I think that they get a lot of vocal positive feedback for things that the game is doing now that I fundamentally don't really like, and they seem confident in a lot of ways on a direction that I don't know if I can follow them on. And I don't know if it's healthy for me to continue to, like, hope and wish and pray for things to be better without seeing evidence for it first. I need to see more proof in the pudding way of a real change. Yeah, I think it was absolutely fantastic video. And I relate to her in so many ways. Like, it feels like we've been through the same struggles, and we're still going through the same kind of process. And this was actually so cathartic for me to watch as a creator, because it's just, me, like, my life has been dedicated to this game for a decade, and feeling like I need to let go when I didn't want to has been awful. Like, logging in and feeling like suddenly there was nothing for me to do just felt really bad. And feeling like I need to switch gears, I need to restructure my life, I need to stream different things, I need to make different kinds of videos. I have to make a new direction, I feel, if I'm gonna survive. And because I don't want to just complain about FF14 all the time. I don't want that. But I feel like every time that I talk about FF14, I don't really have anything positive to say. So, like, why would I continue to do that? Why would I keep doing that? I'm vocal where I can be. But I don't work for Square Enix. It's their responsibility to make their game better. It's not mine. I have to go play what's fun for me right now. That's what I have to do. And I want it to be FF14, but right now it's not. So, yeah. I really appreciate the video, and I appreciate the shout out in it. It's nice to hear that I'm not alone in the way that I feel, even though it's also sad to know that I'm not alone in the way that I feel. One thing that you really, like, and it's part of the reason why it's so exhausting to try to continue to be on the save FF14 bandwagon and try to be, like, positive and about the game and, like, hoping it will be better. Like, that's another reason that's not great to do right now for me, is because of being constantly gaslit and having to constantly deal with mountains of people who come out of the woodwork to say that I shouldn't be complaining, that I don't have anything to complain about, and that everything's fine, and that they'll come into my stream and they'll just be like, well, why are you even playing it then, if you have problems with it? And I'm like, okay, fine, you're right, bye. I wish it wasn't like this, but there's just too much wrong, and it's exhausting. I really tried for a long time to I'll just keep playing FF14 and we'll just talk about it and I'll just be honest about it and we'll just hope it's going to be better. But it's exhausting. It's exhausting because of the community as well. Not the entire community. Let me be clear. Not the entire community. There's a very vocal part of the community that just would rather me go away. And why should I fight them? I barely have any passion at this point. So I just don't have it. I don't have the strength. I haven't quit completely. Like, I don't think I still am subscribed to the game. But, and it's not burnout. It's not burnout. Burnout is when you play so much, you're tired. This is not that. It's the opposite of that. So I want to play, but I can't. It's just not the game that I loved. It's like, as time goes on, it just becomes less and less. It becomes more unrecognizable to me. Yeah, she cooked. I didn't stop playing FF14 because I burned out and lost my passion. I stopped because FF14 burned my passion. This is it. This is it. And a lot of times people will try to say, oh, well, you're just burnt out. No. Yeah. Yoshi took a hard stance on plugins. The hard stance? Please don't do that. She didn't even talk about the fact that now there are plugins that play the game for you. That's another thing that really just... It was like another straw that kind of broke the camel's back for me. There are plugins people use that will move your character for you and do your rotation for you and do the content for you. So all you have to do is just have the robot AI play the whole game for you. Moves you out of AoEs. It does your rotation perfectly. And when I brought this up on stream and I was complaining about it, because I still care about the game. There was people saying, oh, well, it's not different from DBM. Actually, it's just like DBM. That tells you a vocal alert to get out of that. Yeah, it's just like, no, it's not. No, it isn't. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to fight these people that will defend the craziest shit. Why? Why are you defending stuff that sucks for the game? Why do you want the game to be worse? Why do you, like, if you criticize housing, like I did a ton of videos about how WoW's got the new player housing. They're going to be doing this, like neighborhoods and everything. And there's people who are like defending housing in 14, saying that it's good the way that it is. Because, you know, it's better than it was. And now at least people who are definitely using the house are in the house. I just can't. You know, it's like, at this point, if you want me to be an honest person and talk about the game a lot, you're also asking me to constantly have to debate people that aren't interested in that conversation. They just want to defend and dismiss, and it's stupid. It's stupid. It's not fun. It's not fun to talk about it. It's not fun to play it. So what are we doing? You know? Oh, God. I can understand wanting to correct them, but I don't even... It's not even about... It's like, do I want to have to, every time I have something critical I want to say, preface it? Well, before I say this... First, let me preface this by letting you know that I really care about the game a lot, and I'm not going to try and upset anyone, and I'm not trying to say anything bad, but I think this thing needs to be improved possibly, okay? Like, I'm tired of this. I can't. Oh my gosh. It is exhausting. I love FF14, and that's why I love people shitting on it's resting on its laurels and refusing to innovate. Constructive criticism is the only way the situation can improve. I mean, most people that think this, I feel, aren't really playing that much. So, I don't know. It's sad. They were saying that because they don't want to lose the rareness of having a house. Right. Yes. They can brag about it to their friends. Yes, that's right. That's right. There's the people that were mad because they like it being a rare, valuable commodity to have. It's selfish. I remember when you beat DSR, you said something along the lines of rekindling your love of the game. Would you say that a casual player, the game just doesn't have much to offer anymore? Yeah, I do feel like that. Yeah, I do feel like that. Because the story was a big thing. I was a story enjoyer, and that was a big part of a casual enjoyment. And that's kind of not a thing now. Yeah. Even people in my FC are so toxic, lying positive about 14. It gets so tiring when you get critical. Yes, that is what I'm saying. It's like, I find it funny people who say, no, you can't unsub, the game will die. Like, it's my job to artificially prop up a game that I don't want to play anymore with my hard-earned money. I would love to have the motivation and excitement to play it again. but I won't pay for whatever this is that's offered. I'm quite lenient. I just want a good story, and it's fine. And even this has been ruined. Worse, I don't see that the game will improve. That's why I actually unsubbed after these horrible interviews Yoshi P gave, even before 7.1. I mean, I hate that. And I wish that it didn't come to this point. But, yeah. I'm not unsubbed. And I won't yet. I'm not going to unsub. Because I would say that actually in spite of everything, I still want to believe that things will get better. I think Occult Crescent, I mean, that seems interesting. That seems like it could be a casual or a mid-core thing to do. That could be fun. It's possible that that could be fun. As upset as I am with the current state of things, I'm not so pig-headed that I can't see that there might be something on the horizon that could maybe be a step in the right direction. I want that. I do. But, maybe 7.2 will be totally different. Maybe it's going to be something really crazy and, like, really well written. I don't know. I don't know. I cannot foresee the future. I can only talk about what I have already seen and what I am feeling right now. That is what I can do. But it's crazy to expect people to stay subbed, like, just out of, you know, hopium. I think players do this every year, complain about no content, and then we get content. Some leave, some stay. Only time I felt bad was in Walker. No zone, just tomes was really bad. Do people complain every year? Yes. But I feel like people have been complaining about some of the same things for multiple years. And some of those same things have been gradually getting worse because things aren't being done about the same things people are complaining about. So it makes sense that people would keep complaining about the same things that still haven't been fixed. That makes a lot of sense. If you don't fix it, people will keep complaining about it every time. So yeah, every time people are like, I don't have anything to do. Yeah. Well, it was a fantastic video. And I'm really glad Lucy made it. And I appreciate the shout out. But wish it included FFXIV submarine guild generation. Sending out 4 subs per FC and selling the items to NPCs generates 450,000 guild per day. What? There are people with 20 plus FCs making millions daily for doing nothing, while at the same time, houses are being taken away from busy servers. Oh my god. Wow. Holy shit. Okay. Damn. Wish it wasn't like this. Wish it wasn't like this. But here we are. I feel the big difference is that this time, the people that left are the people that usually always stayed. It's not the usual, I take a break every couple of months, but the most dedicated players that left this time. This is the difference. Well, what I didn't really think was a good sign was that we lost a lot of players and content creators that came to the game during the WoW exodus. And I understand that there was going to be fall off after COVID. That's normal. That happened in every game and everywhere. But I felt like the retention after that really could have been improved. We could have kept more people. And I have actually, this is a reason why okay, let me just give you an example. I was talking about this as a problem. I said, hey guys, I think it's kind of an issue that we've lost all the content creators that we gained during that era. And it's like sad. And someone actually said, oh, so you care, you're just mad because content creators can't make money. They literally said this. No. I'm not even them. I'm talking about other people. They don't give me their money. This is exactly what I'm talking about and why it's so exhausting to even discuss the game. Because every time I do, I got somebody who's like, says something absolutely insane that's in defense of it, that I just cannot imagine why you would do this. Why? Do you not think that's a problem? That all the content creators left that joined. And you think I only care? God, why? I'm tired of like even like entertaining this bullshit, you know? God. It's like, if you can't address the problem, just think of any other crazy thing you can think of to tell them to get them to shut up. It's tiring. It's just not fun to have a discussion when this is going on. So I limit the time that I spend in the game pretty heavily, and the time I stream it pretty heavily. I'm streaming it on occasion, but yeah. It's hard to measure, even personal level, what made them, or me, leave FF14. Yes, it's complication of several frustrations. I generally, if you need the house in the game that bad, then you think having a house is enough to stay subbed. I do not think that just unsub and try again when you come back. What? Unsub a house should not be the reason you stay subbed. Okay. I've been playing since 1.0. It feels like the devs have the 1.0 devs mentality right now. Well, I think that probably what will happen is things won't change until they are significantly losing money. So if they're making money right now at an acceptable rate to them, then nothing will change. Yeah, like I don't think that they're gonna make, nothing's gonna be that different as long as they're still profiting off of the game.